Steven, of all the commercials that run during the NBA playoffs, by far, which one is the most annoying?
I can't say that there has been one that's the most annoying.
Oh, come on.
Is there one that's the most annoying? I, I don't know. Jesse and I just saw that movie Challengers last night. But when that movie was being promoted, there were just nonstop commercials. So I had the S&M song by Rihanna in my head. Nah, 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 come on, and that's it.
Yeah. I
There's
haven't seen
that one.
I haven't seen a lot of commercials for that movie, but I mean at the end of the day, sorry, what's the actress's name again?
Zendaya or
Zend-
Zendaya.
yeah. Oakland Zone. So basically that movie is she just bangs two guys.
No, no, not necessarily. It was actually a pretty good movie. It was very well done, and I appreciate an original idea.
Okay, fair
It,
enough.
it, it really I thought that too, based on the commercial.
The commercial
But
is basically she has sex with this guy, she has sex with that guy, and
yeah,
they're
it's
both
it's
best friends
it's
battling
more
out
than
for
that.
tennis supremacy.
Exactly, it's more than that. It has a very it has a Tarantino like storytelling way to it. It was very non-linear.
Ah, you see your feet. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. No feet involved.
Damn it.
Yeah, so in that regard, no, it was not like a Tarantino movie. But in
Ah,
terms of
okay.
the storytelling, it wasn't too bad. Would I see it in a movie theater again? No. I could wait for it to go out. But you saw the commercial, right? Where like her story is she breaks her knee, basically. Crack.
Yes, I've
Oh,
seen the trailers, and yeah, it's more than just her banging two dudes.
oh,
But
dude, because Jesse and I knew when that scene was going to come up, and we didn't want to watch it. I don't want to get squirmish in the movie theater, so like we knew exactly which match it would be. So we're like, covering our eyes, just
yeah,
averting our eyes the entire time, and just waiting for it to happen. And you could hear the crack. Yeah, not a great sound to hear in a movie theater. Woo.
but good sound editing then.
Yes, very good.
Okay, that will be nominated for an Oscar then. No, dude. I mean, okay, I'm not alone
What's the
here.
most annoying one to you? What's getting you?
Oh, come on,
Is
dude.
there one that sparked this for you?
What a pro wants, what a pro needs, whatever makes me happy sets you free. And I'm thanking you for knowing exactly. Here's the thing on that commercial. It's played all the time.
Mhm.
And if you watch enough basketball, you know it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
But are those guys big enough for a national ad like that that's so goddamn annoying?
Leather jackets,
Yeah,
Chet Holm. Yeah, they're trying to create something here. I think you're seeing
they definitely are.
that's what the title is of this podcast. We are seeing a changing of the guard in the NBA by the looks of it.
That you're right, Steven. That you are right. But
Mhm.
other commercials that are annoying during the NBA
Yeah.
playoffs. Wingstop, and I've always hated this song. No flex zone. No
Mhm.
flex zone.
Uh-huh.
They know about it. And
Hey,
what is that? What is that?
hey. Someone oh, what? That's what it
Yeah,
sounds
like
like.
this like, little rap is just so lazy now. Good lord.
Yeah. Well, that's an old song,
I
but
know, but like I used to go to like my little brother's like you know he didn't play football, but soccer games, or whatever, and kids would play that shit. And like, I know it's like a hype up song, but like, good lord, like it's not anything.
yeah, it's not great. I haven't watched as many commercials though because of the multi-view
Well,
on
that's
YouTube
good.
TV. So I'm normally, if I'm like, if I'm not having it on as background noise, then I'm usually sitting right by the Roku remote, ready to change it as soon as it goes to commercial. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I can agree that the Wingstop commercial is annoying.
yeah, and that's a good tactic by you. But for whatever reason, I get lazy sometimes, and I forget to switch it over, which is just a very simple thing to do on the YouTube TV multi view. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've been doing that lately too. What's been your favorite? Just to switch over a little real quick. What's been your favorite NHL playoff series so far?
Mm, Well, the two teams that are playing right now, I think, have the most compelling series. That's the Knights and the Stars, because the Knights are defending champs and the Stars
Oh,
are,
Knights and Stars. Okay.
yeah, and the Stars they got some players, but they got this guy named Robertson who's a stud, but they're just pure depth. Whereas I don't know. To be honest, the one that was fun to watch was Rangers Capitals, even though the Rangers ended it in a sweep, but the Rangers are just so damn physical and don't care. Um, I don't
What
know.
about
I feel
Oilers?
the
Oilers Kings.
Oilers and Kings is right up there too. That one has actually been pretty. That one's been pretty nuts.
Yeah, because you
But
got the star power of Connor McDavid, the face of the NHL right now, plus L.A. Kings.
yeah, there was one that went to overtime late a few nights ago. I think it was for like game 3 or something. Yeah, that one's been
I
pretty
watched that
good.
game. That was a really good game. And my buddy, I texted my buddy. I was like, "Hey, you gonna go watch Connor McDavid? Because he's a huge hockey guy. He's from Canada. You gonna go watch Connor McDavid in L.A.?" And he was like, "God, tickets are probably expensive as hell." And I'm like, "Probably not." He looked it up, $95. And then in Edmonton, they're probably like 300.
Yeah.
It's insane.
One that's interesting though is the Maple Leafs and Bruins, because the Maple Leafs in hockey are basically the
Dallas Cowboys.
yes, exactly. Especially with their fan base, they seem to have, like, I just saw a fan earlier. You know how Cowboys fans, whenever you see them in the playoffs and they post those videos of the fan driven ones where they're in their bunker that's just full of Cowboys memorabilia and a bunch of stuff. There was a dude who straight up, I just saw from the Maple Leafs, who he was a fan watching these games. He has like an entire Maple Leafs team store in his basement. It's insane. He's wearing the full on gear. He's got the helmet, he's got the gloves, he's got the jersey, he's got the pads. Then you go into this little bunker. He's got gloves everywhere, jerseys lined up along the racks. It's insane, dude. So yeah, they're very similar, but they got the I think they were down 3-1 to the Bruins, but they got the overtime win last night. So it's a 3-2 series right now. That one's good. And then the Hurricane, the Islanders ones were always good just because the fans in New York are crazy, and Barstool posts a lot of videos of this one dude, Frankie Borelli, and I find those videos hilarious. He just goes insane, but the Hurricanes got by him last night and are moving on, and the Islanders are knocked out. So, yeah, I mean, every Stanley Cup playoff series for the most part is good just because of how competitive and physical every game is.
All right, there you go, guys. Hockey talk. We got it in. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We'll be talking about the NBA playoffs for a good deal of the show today. Then we'll be talking about some NFL news a little bit on the field and off the field, a little bit on TV stuff. And the Raiders signed a new wide receiver. We'll talk about that. And talk a little bit about, we didn't get to last podcast, Jackass of the Week. We'll do that, a little pop culture catch up. I got to ask Steven what the hell's going on with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, because I have no idea. I'm too old for rap beef these days. So I will get your opinion on that. It's just hard to keep up with stuff now because I don't. Back in the day, I knew
Eric,
all the.
you don't have to say you're too old. You could just say you don't like these rappers. That's totally fine. You don't
No,
like the music,
I
so
am
you don't
getting
wanna pay
older, and
attention.
I just think rap beef's ridiculous. You're two grown men who make tons of money.
Well, what about all the older than 32-year-old gentlemen who are dissecting this word by word, line by line,
I would say
trying
get a
to figure out?
life. All right.
Um,
Let's get to the NBA playoffs. So, as we're talking right now, the Boston Celtics have a big ass lead on the Miami Heat, despite Kristaps Porzingis having a significant leg injury. Hope it doesn't mean that he's out for the playoffs. And then last night, we thought that maybe it'd be Dunzo for the 76ers, but they silenced the whole Madison Square Garden area. All the celebrities, Tracy Morgan, Ben Stiller, who else?
John
John
Stewart,
Stewart, all just all in shock
perplexed, petrified.
as Tyrese Maxey, 4-point play, then a 3-point play. That game goes to overtime. Everybody was ready to celebrate to move on to the next round. And that game goes to overtime, and that series extends to a game 6. That's going to be played at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And all of the East Coast is freaking the fuck out. I would tell everybody, calm down. Okay? sometimes, we can have little things made for the West Coast. And 9 o'clock, that's going to be fun as hell in Philly. So relax your tits. Um, and then the Indiana Pacers, they were beaten up on the Milwaukee Bucks, and Milwaukee came to play last night despite not having Giannis and Dame. So that series goes to a game 6. Steven, what do you think so far of these NBA playoffs?
Oh, it's been a lot more exciting than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think
Mhm.
that any of those games were, or those, well, at least the 2 games on the brink of elimination were going to go 3-2. Um, I thought surely the Knicks at home would take it in game 5, while the Bucks without Dame and Giannis, I didn't think they'd. Um, if I'm wrong, I could be wrong here, but I saw something that they were the first team to win an NBA playoff game without their top 2 scorers, um,
I can believe it.
or like it was either the first NBA playoff game or like the first elimination game, something along those lines without their 2 top scorers. So I thought the Pacers were going to run away with that one, but they didn't. Like it's been a lot more exciting. And then the Cavs and Magic, lo and behold, has actually turned into a fun series. So overall, this opening round, it's not that bad.
It's been good, but I'll admit I have not watched a second of Cavs and Magic because I just don't care about those 2 teams. But
Right.
everything else has been very interesting. And yeah, just watching the Knicks fans last night. I mean, it's fun when the Knicks are in the playoffs. I will say that Madison Square Garden comes alive, and Spike Lee's doing his thing on the sideline, and all of the New York celebrities come to watch. But damn, was it demoralizing last night where they thought I think they were up by 9 with like a minute left, maybe, and they thought they were going on, and then not the case. So I'm sure buttholes are definitely clenched in the state of New York.
It feels like with the Knicks and 76ers, the fans who are super popular, because it feels like through whether it's through Barstool or through just celebrities in New York, it feels like whenever the fan base is the loudest, that's when their team sucks. Like the Knicks had it. The Knicks had it, and their fan base was going insane
Yeah,
after game 4. Um and uh and then but with the Sixers, like I have seen Sixers fans go crazy over their team and then end up losing. So I'm fully expecting game 6 for Philadelphia Sixers fans to go insane, probably show up to the arena as opposed to that last one. And I think that ultimately the Knicks are going to win game 6 just because this is how that
interesting.
series has gone.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a game 7. And I love the
Wow.
close proximity of the series. And yeah, it's just hilarious with the celebrities because last night Tracy Morgan flips off Tyrese
Yeah.
Maxey as he makes that 3. Just
Yeah.
it's just funny to me like that stuff where it's like the old days of Reggie Miller and Spike Lee talking shit to each other on the sidelines. Real quick, you watch a lot more regular season basketball than I did. You think Kristaps Porzingis being injured, is that huge of a deal for the Celtics, or can they survive with Al Horford kind of filling in for him?
Um, they can survive, but I think Kristaps has been very, very good. But it depends on it. It all depends on whoever their next team is.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at the bracket. So they'll
Well,
either
they would play the Cavaliers or the
Cavs or
Magic.
the Magic. Yeah. I think they could survive in the second round, but I think by
Yeah.
the time it gets to the conference final, that's when you'll need Kristaps back because um, it just with his length and how well he could shoot, he does everything that really you want it's you do everything that Warrior fans are calling for, and whoever this new trade piece is going to be, oh, big man who could space the floor, shoot the 3 and do all those different things. So Kristaps is right there, but it would be a big deal come conference final time. I think they can make it through the second round though.
I think they can handle the Knicks or the Pacers if they have to play them in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to be, though, they need, like, let's say it's Nuggets and Celtics. They're going to need Kristaps to go against Jokic. Otherwise, I don't think they have much of a chance.
Right.
So we'll see about that, though. They've been the cream of the crop in the East, and we'll see if it continues despite the injury, or maybe he'll come back by then. And then in the West, thank God, the Lakers are out. And, that series was fun. Game 5 was a lot of fun. I mean, it's crazy that the Lakers have led for most of that series. I think like over an hour, they have led that series, and then the Nuggets have just dominated. Like the altitude is in their favor for every game. As long as they have home court advantage, I don't think anyone's beating them because they just kind of, they won last year, so they kind of, conserve their energy for the first half, and then they just explode in the second half. And they kept saying like it's kind of like with the Warriors, Dubcon 3, like the Nuggets explode in the third quarter, and that's where you have to kill them.
Right.
But yeah, that was a great game the other night. It was so back and forth between the Lakers and Nuggets. Anthony Davis getting hurt again. Just him and Michael Porter bumped into each other, and I don't know what happened to his shoulder, but he was kind of done after that. LeBron played a great game to keep their season alive, but it wasn't enough. People are killing Darvin Ham for not calling a timeout much sooner. All I can say is Jamal Murray is a clutch player, and I am so glad the Lakers are out of the playoffs. But that comes with LeBron talk, because not that he prompted it himself, but now we talk about what his future will be.
No, he prompted it himself.
Do you think so? Okay, so who asked him that final question?
I don't know. But
Okay,
he's the one who said, I'm not going to answer that, and with a little grin.
But it wasn't like last year where he didn't, like, he wasn't asked anything. He wasn't provoked, and he simply just said, I don't even know if I'm playing next year.
Yeah, and then
This
Dave
year was
McMenamin
different.
corroborated that on ESPN. Dave McMenamin, now the new
Yeah.
Brian Windhorst, following him around, and then he wrote this whole article about the possibility of LeBron retiring, and it's going to turn into that. But I think one thing's for certain is he is playing next year, so I'm glad we're going to get that out the way. But this is going to linger for the next month or so, 2 months rather, until July 1st.
But does he have to let it linger? Does he have to? Does he have to? Does he have to? Does he have to let it linger?
Cranberries?
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
I'm sure. I'm also sure if you ask LeBron about that song, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know the Cranberries, the whole catalog. Name one song, the one you just sang."
Yeah, Zombie. Yeah.
But before we get to all the bullshit now with the off season, what'd you think of the actual series?
Oh, what I think is that the Denver Nuggets have truly proven that they are the cream of the NBA crop. I don't care what state LeBron was in. I don't care that he's 39 years old. He was fantastic in this series. I don't care that Anthony Davis was partially hurt in that final game. We saw what happened with game 2. It's just the Nuggets are a better team, and I don't care what anyone says about that Lakers roster. It's pretty darn good. Like, even though there was a lot of dysfunction within the locker room, and to be honest, a lot of those articles kind of feel like excuse making as opposed to like just admitting like you lost. Oh, sure, there's all this dysfunction. Oh, they had this, they had that happen. Who cares?
Just take accountability. They kicked your ass 2 years in a row.
They lost to and it's not even just kicking your ass in the playoffs. Like, I think it was McMenamin who pointed out, like, they beat him on opening night. They beat him on the night of the Kobe Bryant statue unveiling.
Yeah.
They beat him on the night that LeBron James reached 40,000 points, and they also ended their season. So the Nuggets have just crushed them all season long. It's not even just in the playoffs and even going back to last year. But what you're seeing now is this Nuggets team is the cream of the crop. It's not easy to beat that squad, especially when it's in the last second. Like Jamal Murray hitting that fadeaway over Anthony Davis in game 2, not easy. And then if you go back and watch the play and watch what Jokic did to Anthony Davis, he totally opened it up for Jamal to get a lane and kind of left AD with no choice but to drop to the hoop. I totally stole all that information from Tim Legler, who did a terrific breakdown on it. But
legs.
Yeah, it's just they're so deep and they're extremely compelling. And not even to mention in game 2, the guy who didn't get enough credit was was it game 2? God, I don't even remember. It was the shot before the game winner where Jamal Murray knocked down the 3, Aaron Gordon grabbing the offensive rebound. Like every guy doing little things.
Was game 2.
Yeah, it was game 2. Every guy doing little things that it takes to win. It's just really impressive. So I think that series is all about the Nuggets as opposed to the crumbling Lakers where Darvin Ham apparently hates D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I mean, and, let's be real here, too. The Nuggets have dominated the Warriors. They've dominated most of the Western Conference. However, this upcoming series is going to be great. So I picked the Suns to beat the Timberwolves, and boy, was I wrong. My little brother, for whatever reason, is a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. And he's been telling me all season, this team is good. Yeah, I know. It's random. And I was like, yeah. I hear you. So I watched them here or there. And I knew they were good defensively, but it wasn't until the playoffs I was like, God damn, they're impressive. And Anthony Edwards is not phased whatsoever. He does not give a fuck. He is the character from Hustle. He will talk into Kevin Durant's face, even though he is his idol, and he'll just talk shit to him. And that series was alarming to me. How dominant they were and how youthful they were. And the Suns are maybe one of the biggest disappointments of all time when it comes to NBA teams. The reconstruction of that roster, where they were a couple years ago, to being in the finals, then losing to the Bucks, and we all thought they were going to be a team that's going to be reckoned with in the West. And each year they got worse. They got blown out in that game 7 against the Mavericks 2 years ago. Then last year they got blown out by the Nuggets in the second round. And then this year they get swept by the Thunder. I'm sorry, not the Thunder, the Timberwolves. I give a ton of credit to Anthony Edwards. God, the Warriors, looking back on that draft from 3 years ago, if only there was some way where he fell to the Warriors. But I think, no, regardless, James Wiseman would have gone because they needed a big man. But it's clear now to me that it's not just going to be one quick fix for the Warriors and everything's good again. These teams, like I believe in the Nuggets, and I didn't know about the playoff experience of the Timberwolves and Thunder, and the Thunder swept the Pelicans. Those three teams are going to be the cream of the crop now in the West, and it's going to be tough for the Warriors to compete with them if they can't find a way to get some more youth on their squad.
Well, that's a whole other conversation too, because you're seeing those teams built in part through draft picks. The Timberwolves had to hit at one point on Karl Anthony Towns and find a team around him. Though it took a few years. You take away Andrew Wiggins and you take away Jimmy Butler and you add Anthony Edwards as the number one overall guy. You get Rudy Gobert in there, and look, we are in this age where NBA players hate Gobert. A lot of fans don't seem to like Gobert, but the fact is he's one of the better defensive players in the NBA. And I don't care if you say he's soft, he wouldn't do, and all this sort of stuff. Whenever he starts talking trash, everyone's like, he's soft, you're not going to do anything. That doesn't change the fact that he's a damn good defensive player and makes the offense think and actually manipulates the offense into doing different things and getting them out of their rhythm. And that's why I'm interested to see that Timberwolves Nuggets series. I want to see how he handles Nikola Jokic as a big man. They split the regular season series at 2 games each. So I think we're in for a doozy. But yeah, I couldn't help but think about that through this postseason, especially in the West, not so much in the East. The East has their own thing going on. But if the Warriors want to remain competitive in the West, you're just going to trade a bunch of future draft picks and then hope it pans out? Because you're seeing a team like the Suns exit out of the first round. Don't really know what's going to happen with their future. You saw what happened, let's just say, with the Brooklyn Nets, even with Kevin Durant. I'm using Kevin Durant as an example. Look where the Nets are at now. Like, it's just, I don't know where the Warriors go from here as far as building their team into a contender. And even if they do, even if they try to max out whatever they have left with the Steph Curry years, well, where's your draft? Because the Thunder have built that team through the draft. And, I guarantee you that Thunder team, as far as payment, they're either going to be like the next Warriors, where teams are just pissed at the owner because he's spending all this money over the luxury tax apron because he's having to pay all the players that they actually drafted. Or eventually they're going to have to let guys go. But they're in a really, really good place right now because they have a bunch of first-round picks coming up. I don't really know what the draft is looking like for the Timberwolves, but it feels like with Anthony Edwards at 22 years old, it feels like they're okay in the future and they can build that team anywhere. It's just, and then you got the Nuggets. And the Nuggets aren't even a young team per se, but with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, like that 1-2 punch could build around that too. So I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. And it just, as I'm watching this, I don't know, maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment, but it's like, can the Warriors actually make any moves if they want to compete? Because Kevin Durant and LeBron are out now. And it's like, sure, you pair him up with Steph Curry. That's great. But is that going to win you an entire series? I don't know.
I don't think so, and I think that times have changed. I think that we've seen in the last few recent years that the championship winning teams are the ones that were built within the draft. The days of the super team buying you a couple of championships are not going to work. I think that you need chemistry. I think you need to build it up for a few years. That's why we saw the Bucks win a championship. That's why we saw the Suns or the Nuggets win a championship a year ago. The Warriors won in between that, and they traded for Andrew Wiggins, but that team was mostly built from within. So the days of, everybody, kind of teaming up and making a championship roster, I think are slowly dying. And that's why I think the Suns are one of the more disappointing teams of all time because we expected them to be a championship team this year. And maybe we expected too much out of Bradley Beal, who's never been really a playoff player. He's been on the Washington Wizards for years and hardly ever made the playoffs. Um, and then KD, I'll admit I love Kevin Durant, but he's not the same player he used to be. His age and the injuries have caught up to him a little bit. He's still amazing, but I do wonder about his leadership, and that's something we've always talked about as Warriors fans. He's thank God that we had Draymond and Steph and guys that knew how to win. KD kind of like ho hum. All right, well we got swept, and I know he doesn't feel that way, but it appears that way when you watch it. And there's just times where I watch that, that closeout game where Devin Booker's throwing him a ball up the court and KD's not even noticing the ball. And there's just a lot of bullshit going on. Like there's talk about them wanting to fire Frank Vogel. I never thought that was going to be a good hire from the beginning. I thought maybe they should have stayed with Monty Williams. But I don't know, Steven, do you agree that with the Suns were kind of the New York Jets this season with all the hype around them and then they just flame out in the first round?
Well, they also had one of those excuse pieces written up. I can't imagine what it's like
Yeah.
being the journalist who has all of that info and is
Here's
just
why they
waiting.
didn't win.
Exactly, just waiting to release it to the world because as soon as they're out, it's out. As soon as they're out of the playoffs, that thing is up and published the next morning.
Yeah.
But I do think a large part of that has to do with the head coach. Like, I just refuse to believe that Booker, Beal, and Durant can't work as a starting five. Like, the Suns just didn't look like a good team. Kevin Durant, I thought, played okay this postseason, but you can't tell me that starting five at least can't compete a little bit with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, I think that a lot of that has to do with coaching. And from what you read on that article, none of those guys took Frank Vogel seriously at all. Like, some guys laughed when he tried to get all hot and bothered at the end of the regular season because these guys weren't putting in the 110% effort or whatever he wanted. So I think if I had to pinpoint it, like the Lakers, that was just a problem with the team in general, but it feels like with the Suns, that was a coaching problem.
So between the two, because there's a lot of speculation going on right now, between Darvin Ham and Frank Vogel, who do you think is more justified in losing their job?
I'd say Frank Vogel is
Yeah.
with everything they invested to put that team on the court, man. Like he just
I know.
just ran it into the ground.
But then last game, you see, or it was 2 games before. It was game 4. LeBron wanted Darvin Ham to challenge a play, and he didn't do it, and then he freaks out like a child, just stomps his feet on the court. And a lot of people are giving Darvin Ham shit for not calling a timeout much earlier in that last game when the Nuggets were making a run. I don't really know Darvin Ham like how he is as a coach. I watch Laker games from time to time, but I don't really know if they would do better with anybody else. Everybody always says like, oh, we got to fire the coach, but then you got to find a replacement for him. I think Frank Vogel was very good with the Pacers, but then in recent years he's been coaching teams with big stars, and he's gotten overshadowed. Like most people don't think of him when the Lakers won that championship in the bubble. It's LeBron and AD, and now on a team with KD and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, Frank Vogel's an afterthought. But yeah, I mean, I read that Shams article, and it seems that Kevin Durant didn't like his usage and for most of the season and how he was using the offense. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think I think also a lot of it is on the players too. I mean, but also they were playing like it was a weird roster. Like while they had the three big stars, no, there was no point guard on that team. So I think they can't do much. I think the Suns just got to run it back and get better because
Mm,
you can't. There's no more excuses. Like you have three of the biggest names in basketball, and you got to win with that team.
yeah. Um, but it does feel like it feels like a coaching change is necessary on both sides. It really does.
Well, have you heard the
Um,
rumor for the Lakers?
let me guess. JJ Redick.
Yes. That's the whole reason why they're doing the podcast together because LeBron is grooming JJ to be the head coach of the Lakers.
Yeah, it's great that they're giving us some insights into this film and the tape and stuff, but it feels like we are also watching what it would be like in the meeting room with the Lakers when JJ Redick is the coach. Because look, man, you can't coach LeBron. You can't coach LeBron. He is a player coach. Like there's no other way around it. And you need to find someone who is going to work in simpatico with him. Like, what's the problem with it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't if LeBron was actually coaching at the same time, I wouldn't be mad at that. This dude is the greatest player that I've ever seen, like ever. And he's still scoring 30 points and putting up 9 assists, 12 rebounds. Like it's crazy what he could do in a single game still at this age. Like, what's the problem with him being a player coach and having at least someone as the head coach who can who can work with his team? Because we do this every year with LeBron. Oh, it doesn't work. LeBron thinks he's bigger than the team. Well, he's LeBron. Yeah, he kind of is bigger than the team. I wouldn't have a problem with that if he was like a player coach.
Like
Why wouldn't
Bill
that work?
Russell was back in the day.
Something like that. Yeah, like why not experiment? Why not experiment when you have all these younger teams? Like what else has he got to prove? Nothing.
Well, I mean, that'd be taking a lot on to be a coach and a player at the same
Sure.
time.
Sure.
So is he running the practices? Is he running the formations? Is he doing all that stuff?
No, not any of that sort of shit, but like just when I'm seeing Darvin Ham on his little clipboard and you just got LeBron chewing on his mouth guard, like looking into the distance, D'Angelo Russell looking at, eating a snack on the sideline, just not paying attention to anything that Ham is saying. The only way that it's going to work is if LeBron feels like he has some input, and it didn't look like he had. I mean, obviously he did have input, but there's a few of those brief moments where you're like, "Eesh, don't look good there."
Sorry, when you were describing that scenario, I was thinking of like just a comical moment where D'Angelo Russell's like eating a snack, and then Darvin Ham is like, "Listen to me. Did you say ham?"
I thought he was on his phone. I really thought he was on his phone in that.
Or he sees Darvin Ham, and it's just a ham is covering his face. And he's like, "Oh, I can't pay attention."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be wild, and yeah, nothing like that has been done in God since Bill Russell was playing. The JJ Redick thing. If he had a lot of talent, I don't doubt that JJ could be probably a good coach. However, he's really good in the media, and I think he just should stay being an analyst for games. But like, let's be real here. JJ's not a bullshitter. Is he really going to draft Bronny to make LeBron happy? Like that story to me is fucking insane. So I guess Bronny, right now is either going to go in the transfer portal or declare for the NBA draft. And most scouts are like, he's not worth drafting right now. He didn't do shit at USC. And plus, we have Mark Spears on today. Mark Spears is like, I've never seen a college player with his lack of talent be coddled so much. He didn't speak to the media after games. He was coddled. So if the Lakers decide to draft or sign Bronny James as a undrafted free agent, that's ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. Like, come on. Like, I know LeBron is the face of the franchise, but like, make him happy to make sure he signs back. That's fucking insane.
Feels like they know something, and by they I mean Clutch, the sports agency.
Yeah.
Because It was
Well, LeBron basically runs that.
you had Brian Windhorst go on ESPN, and the quote was, "I see LeBron James declining his player option and opting for free agency for the first time since 2018." That was the quote. But if you
Okay.
watch the entire video, he said that LeBron is trying to pressure the Lakers into one, giving him a more player friendly contract. He included that he doesn't have a no trade clause in this one if he picks up that option. So he's opting, he wants a better contract. Two, wants to see what the Lakers do with their first round draft picks. I think they have like 3 of them this year.
Okay.
And wants to see if they maybe trade him just to get LeBron some help on this team. He wants to see what they do with that. And then number 3 was the Bronny James thing. And it just feels, and Windhorst made it seem like a sure thing that Bronny would get drafted. So I think that there's something cooking here where we'll see LeBron decline the player option. We'll see him get a future contract, and then we'll see the Lakers take a flyer on Bronny in the second round. That's what it feels like we're seeing here.
But do you think that's reasonable?
No, but it's the NBA. These guys are making $60 million a year. Nothing's reasonable in this league.
I know. And also, like, if I were the Lakers, if I was Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, I'd be like, player-friendly contract. LeBron, you're 39 years old. You're going to be 40. How long are we doing this for? You sign you a 5-year deal? Please. And it's not like the NFL. It's not funny money. All that shit's guaranteed. So, honestly, I would tell LeBron, how about a 1-year contract just to make sure you're not going to retire on us?
Yeah. Or it might not be like 3 draft picks this year, but future draft picks, and it was really weird the way that he worded it. But it's the same thing that he said with the trade deadline. He's just testing the Lakers, seeing what they'll do. Like that's what he's putting the pressure on just so he can get what he wants.
I honestly would call his bluff because at the end of the day, yes, LeBron is a huge, huge figure in the NBA. He is the face of the NBA. Although, I mean, well, things are changing now, and I'll get to that a little bit here. But I would also tell LeBron, we are the Lakers. We are going to be a franchise with or without you. We will be, one of the marquee franchises in the NBA, whether you're here or not. And we all know you came here to end your career. You don't want to go anywhere else. You don't want to like pick up your production company and go to Orlando. Come on. We know what you're doing. You want to pressure us, but at the end of the day, you want to stay here. You want to stay in LA. You want to have a movie career after your NBA career is over. So we're going to call your bluff on this.
I think that's a lot easier said than done.
Of course it is. And I'm breaking it down in simplistic fashion, but like going into the conversation now. So naturally, Warrior fans see that LeBron is out and KD is out. And everyone keeps talking about, well, they got to make a move this offseason. They got to make a move to not waste the final years of Steph Curry's career. And there were rumors, or there was an actual report from Adrian Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne earlier this year that at the trade deadline, the Warriors did inquire about LeBron James. What would have had to happen for that trade to happen? I do not know. Like, who was part of the deal? You would assume it'd have to be Kuminga and other pieces, but that didn't materialize. And LeBron basically, I guess, as the story goes, LeBron nixed the deal. But I don't know if I buy that whole thing. So they may revisit that, as Ramona said a long time ago, whatever that happened a few months ago before the trade deadline. They may revisit that in the offseason. And then there's always the talk of Kevin Durant. And is he unhappy now in Phoenix? Does he want to go back to the Warriors, where a lot of people think that behind closed doors, if you ask Kevin Durant about leaving the Warriors, he probably would tell you I made a huge mistake. But he went to go follow his buddy Kyrie to the Brooklyn Nets. And then he went to the Phoenix Suns because he thought he was going to play for Monty Williams. And then Monty got fired after one season with KD. And since KD has left the Warriors, it's been a failure. It's been bad for him. He's been trying to find happiness because he wanted to win. He wanted to have happiness. And the media just wouldn't leave him alone. And I thought it was ridiculous. And it's ridiculous now where you guys got like Jay Williams, calling out KD before because he signed with the Warriors. And now people on First Take are like, should he team up with LeBron in Los Angeles? Well, how's that any better? So I don't think anyone's ever going to leave KD alone. I think he's always just going to get bullshit. But since he left, he's been swept twice in the first round for two different teams. He got swept by the Celtics 2 years ago, and then he just got swept by now by the Timberwolves.
Uh-huh.
I think he's 13 and 17 playoff wise, and he just doesn't have any success in the playoffs. He hasn't gone to a Western Conference Finals or an Eastern Conference Finals. And I know, the talk right. Go ahead.
The key word you're using is he. It's not him that lost those games. In part, it's his team. Like
Yes, you're right.
it never feels like it's because of Kevin Durant that they lose these games. It just feels like we always use him as the. I mean, we use the word all the time. It feels like we use him as the scapegoat just because he's the number one player on their team. Well, like, what about the others not showing up? What about Yusuf Nurkic, who played like crap this entire postseason?
Yeah.
What about that time back in Brooklyn when he had this totally different version of Kyrie Irving that we have not seen with the Mavericks? Like Kyrie seems to be in a much better space, just a better headspace. He's not dealing with all this stuff. He's being accused, rightfully so, of anti-Semitism. He's not dealing with all that outside drama.
The vaccine stuff.
Yes, it feels like Durant got the worst version of him. He got a great version of Devin Booker. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know. I give Durant the benefit of the doubt, and I don't know what it is. I really feel for the guy. I do.
I do too, but he made all these moves. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. He picked Steve Nash as his head coach, and he wanted to play with Kyrie and James Harden. And that
Can't pray for rain, but forget about the mud.
Sure. Is that a DJ Khaled saying?
No, it's a Lorenzo Neal saying.
Oh, gotcha. We should do a segment one day where we go, who said this, Lorenzo Neal or DJ Khaled? So yeah, I think that Kevin Durant was amazing 2 years ago when he played or 3 years ago actually when he played the Bucks in the second round. He was incredible, but he ran out of gas, and I just think he made a bad decision. I think that he let the media get to his head, and he left to go, make his own team, and it hasn't panned out. So now we're doing the stuff on the radio now where we're doing the hypothetical of what if we traded, what if the Warriors traded to get Kevin Durant back? And I think this is 2 years too late. This was, if you wanted to do it after they won the championship in 22, that was the time to do it. But that would have been a drastic move to trade all those players right after they won a championship. This is right when KD requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. And there were rumors that him and Steph were talking and they wanted to do it. And I think we all know that Steve, while he loved the championship years, he did not love the Kevin Durant years because it was hard for the two guys to get along. It was not the style that Kevin Durant wanted to play with. But if you probably ask Kevin Durant, he probably would want to do that today. But it also would look bad going back to the team with his tail between his legs and, trying to make it work with Draymond. They got a weird thing going on now. Him and Steph will get along, but I relate this to if they did this again, if Kevin Durant went back to the Warriors, it would be like a sequel that was made years later after the first one when everyone's really, really old and it's just not as good. I don't think Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors saves them. Like, you got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant playing now on a team, and they got swept. I don't know what Steph Curry and Kevin Durant look like now in their late 30s. And like I said, I don't think any big move is helping the Warriors beat the Suns, the Nuggets, or sorry, not the Suns, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, or the Thunder. I think youth needs to help them.
So what are we thinking? Like Anchorman 2 or Dumb and Dumber 2? Like
I was going. You see, people hate on Anchorman 2. I think it's fine. It did not suck.
Yes, it did.
The last battle was great.
Yeah, but you had to make it through the movie to get through the last battle.
I enjoyed it.
Fine.
I'm the ghost of who was John C. Reilly?
Wasn't he the ghost
Stonewall
of
Jackson? So,
yeah.
There will be a mint julep waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah.
Come on, it's fun. It's stupid, goofy shit.
I don't know. I just lost it with the shark and Dobie and saying goodbye to Dobie. Oh, Dobie.
I do love when he's the whole side thing of him being blind was ridiculous. I'm blind.
It was much better than Dumb and Dumber 2. I'll give
Oh
it that.
God, yeah. I still have not watched that all the way through.
I,
That
I
that that
I've
movie's horrendous.
I've never been so close to wanting to leave a movie theater. I thought I was watching like it felt like I was in a simulation, like we were watching a parody
Yeah.
of like Dumb and Dumber. You know what I mean? Like you're in a
Yeah.
movie or you're watching a movie and in the movie the characters are like can you believe they're making a sequel to this thing? And then you
Yeah.
actually show the movie like it's a made up thing. Yeah. Felt like I was watching a simulation. What was the original question?
I was just saying that if the Warriors were to get Kevin Durant today, it would not be that much of a game changer.
Right, right. No, this in comedy is not the NBA, right? Comedy, it's not like there's just it's going
You
from
are right about
generation.
that. They are two different
It's
things.
well in terms of the landscape,
Yes.
right? Like in comedy, there's no funny comedic movies like at all anymore because you don't have that new generation. You don't have that new version of Judd Apatow. You don't have the new version of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and you know Jonah Hill for whatever reason. You know James Franco. Yikes. You don't have all those guys anymore. Like comedy is at a standstill, but the NBA it just continues to evolve, and it feels like
I thought you were going to go
um,
Jerry Seinfeld here. Comedy's at a
oh,
standstill right now because that liberal left.
oh yeah, that's a jackass of the week if I've ever heard one. But
We can
Craig
we
Robinson,
we
thank
can
you, AJ.
discuss that too. We can discuss that.
Thank you, AJ Cruz. Craig Robinson, that's another one. This is the end. All that crew. Like when This Is the End came out, that's when comedy was officially done, or at least the comedy movies. But
Yeah.
um that's the thing is like I know in radio I know we love to create all these trade scenarios like the only way, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, I think this is impossible, but the only way I think that the Warriors can compete is if they somehow, which they're not going to do, if they somehow get Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know how that would happen, but that's if you pull out all the stops and you get a guy like Giannis, that's the only guy I can think of who can just catapult you into being a playoff contender again. That's the only guy, if there's any.
What about Joel Embiid?
Maybe Embiid, maybe, but like even with a younger or even with a youthful Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris in that starting lineup, they haven't really made it. I don't know with Embiid. I'm a little more skeptical. Maybe I don't know how him and Steph would work, but I do think that Giannis would be one for sure.
What about Paul George?
Nah, not Paul George. Too injury prone. You got to have him healthy.
Yeah, I bring those names up because those will be the names thrown out there as soon as all those teams are eliminated. Like they'll, I don't know why they think that all these players are going to be disgruntled to want to get out. Maybe the Embiid stuff is accurate just because I guess what was it the other day? Like he missed shoot around because of a migraine and people are like saying, look, oh, he's out of here. I don't know. And also like Giannis just got Dame.
The guy
So
was diagnosed. I know exactly. I'm just saying it was impossible. But Joel Embiid was diagnosed with Bell's palsy.
I
and
know.
Getting on this guy for having a migraine. I didn't even
Dude,
know that was happening.
Philly fans are ruthless. So I would, yeah, all this like, yes, all these names are going to be thrown out there, and we're going to discuss it, but I don't think any of it's feasible, to be honest. From LeBron to KD to Embiid to Giannis to Paul George, maybe Paul George, maybe that's the most feasible out of all of them because we'll see if the Clippers have the money to bring him back. But at this point, I don't think they can make any of those moves. I think that the Warriors are kind of fucked. I think that they're stuck in a bad situation where they need to get young fast, and we're living in the past of trying to keep all these older guys. So I don't know. Like I said, man, like it's crazy to me that people have been throwing out this stat that Steph, KD, and LeBron are all missing the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2005. The
Right.
reality is Steph wasn't drafted until 2009 and KD wasn't drafted until 2007. But regardless, those are the three biggest stars in the NBA once upon a time. and now they're not having the same amount of playoff success. And they may be not the faces of the NBA anymore. It's changing. So I don't think teaming them all up together is going to help them.
You think Klay Thompson is looking at any of these teams in the playoffs? Maybe like the Magic, and he's like, damn, like I want to be a Warrior for life. I want to be like I want to be like Kobe Bryant, my hero. I do want to be like, I want to do that. But God, do I want to win another championship? And you're seeing
But
these
is he winning with
contenders
the
now.
Magic?
What?
Is he winning with the Magic though?
I'm just using that team as an example.
Yeah.
But like, do you think he's looking at any of these other teams? He gets to test free agency. Like, I'm not going to say he can't say it with the Suns. They're not going to go to the Suns. I'm not going to say it's going to happen with the Lakers, but I don't know. Like, what if? I mean, the Thunder are a very good team, but they could also use a shooter. Like, what if he's looking at any of these other? He's not going to go to Oklahoma City to close out his NBA career, but I don't know. You think he's maybe looking at some of these teams thinking, ooh,
Most likely, yeah.
that's kind of
I mean,
appealing.
you got to have everything on the table when you're a free agent. So I think that he's gonna. But I think I think he doesn't want to go. I think that I think that he's more desperate than the Warriors are at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe they are. Maybe they just want to keep continuity and all the faces together.
Ooh, here's an interesting one from Ernie. Olympics coming up equals recruiting time for Steph. Yeah, I mean, you might see Steph and Joel Embiid for the first time.
Is that timeline gonna? Because the Olympics would be after free agency.
Correct, July 26th.
Yeah, so I don't think that adds up. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it's good discussion on radio, but the reality is I don't think anything significant's going to happen. I think
feels like they're pretty far away.
Yeah, I think LeBron is going back to the Lakers. I think KD's going back to the Suns, and I think all those other guys are staying with their teams. Paul George, I don't know, but Paul George is older now, so I don't know if he would even help the Warriors. Maybe they do need a big man presence, but.
Dude, the Warriors want to stay under the luxury tax. That is, I know we always talk about it. I know we always talk about how Joe Lacob wants to spend in order to win. But he's got another franchise coming to Golden State next year with the WNBA.
Yep.
Like he'd probably want to invest some funds in that from his ownership group. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he just wants to stay under that. I think it's like $272 million tax apron this year. Then there's a second tax apron. I know everyone
wants to spend. He wants to spend.
Sure. Maybe on the Golden WNBA Golden State team though.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they'll. I mean, God, the timing on that. If they were playing this year, would they have been given the number 1 pick, or would they have been in a lottery?
I don't know. There's can
you imagine Caitlin Clark going to the Warriors WNBA team?
That'd be a huge deal. No, they got
deal.
They got this whole thing with like an expansion draft. I actually got to do a little research and see how that works.
Let's move on to the NFL real quick. Not a lot of big stuff going on. This is kind of a dead period, and I go crazy. We may be getting the schedule release next Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But a little news here or there post draft. Michael Gallup, new wide receiver for the Raiders. What do you think about that move, Steven?
I'm into it. I wonder what Trey Tucker's role is going to be now, but I've always thought Michael Gallup was a pretty good wide receiver. I don't really think much of it. I was kind of surprised at the move. I was like, "Oh, that's a random one." I didn't know Michael Gallup was even looking at was going to be anywhere other than the Cowboys.
I knew he was released, so I know he would go to a different team. But I thought that was kind of a weird deal with the Raiders. I don't mind him being a number 2 or a number 3. He's coming off, I believe. Well, he didn't have an ACL tear last year, but he had one a couple years ago, and he hasn't been the same player. But if he's a complimentary wide receiver to Devontae or even Jacoby Myers, I don't think it's bad. He's not going to take Trey Tucker's spot. Trey Tucker would be that deep threat. I was kind of looking at, he's not the best wide receiver in the world, but I was kind of expecting like more of a speed guy. Like they have like one speed wide receiver on the team right now, and that's Trey Tucker. I would have been like I actually was kind of planning on them sounding like Marquez Valdez Scantling. Not the best hands in the world, but Luke Getsy knows him from his days with the Packers, and they could use more speed on the field. So I was kind of expecting that. But Michael Gallup's not a bad, number 2, number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah, I didn't really think too much of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know we got a lot to get. I know we got a lot to get to with the NFL, but I just got to say, I watched the Gardner Minshew interview on Max Crosby's podcast, and to any Raider fans out there, if you're not sold on Gardner Minshew, that's fine, but just watch that podcast episode. That is the most wholesome individual in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
he is unapologetically himself. And to any Raider fans who have that sense of nostalgia, and I'm not going to say the talent is the same. I'm not going to say he'll win them Super Bowls, but
are you going Stabler here?
This is as close. This guy is as close to watching Ken Stabler as we'll see with the Raiders again.
Oh, Steven.
Not Derek. I told you, not the talent.
I know, but
not the
Ken
talent.
Ken Stabler was fighting Hell's Angels at Jack London Square.
Telling you with the hair and the accent, the gunslinger mentality. Like, I think this is the closest thing we'll see ever again to a Ken Stabler type in a Raider uniform. It's crazy.
I will say that he fits more of the Raiders style because he's his own personality and weird and, confident in himself. He does fit the Raider, mentality more than the recent years of Derek Carr or Rich Gannon. Ken Stabler was a badass motherfucker back in the day.
Oh, for sure.
Like his old quote was like, well, how much sleep do you need? I used to read the playbook by the light of the jukebox. And I don't think that Gardner Minshew's going out and partying every night, but he's fun. I do love his quote from a few years ago. Like I think Gardner Minshew's a very fun individual. I remember his quote on the Greenlight podcast with Chris Long a couple years ago, where he was like, "I'm not trying to be number 2, man. I'm not even taking shits at training camp, whatever he said." But he's fun. I just, like I said before, I was hoping for a game changer at quarterback, and while Gardner Minshew was a good leader, better than Jimmy and what the Raiders have had in recent years, it's just the talent level is not going to be the same.
I just think Minshew was born in the wrong era. You put him back in the 70s when, there were jukeboxes. You put him back in the 80s, whatever. When they had all that, I think he'd be doing the same thing. Like there was a story Max Crosby told where Crosby's a boxer, right?
Yeah.
And he holds these boxing sessions like every Wednesday or something. And Minshew, like quarterbacks, they don't participate, right? They have a little hesitation. They're like, I don't know about that. I'm not. Minshew's like, nope, sign me up. Where do I go? And he tried to box. Then the strength coach took him out of the ring. Then he said he was sitting on the sideline and he felt like the boy in striped pajamas on the other side of the fence, just watching long. Like, damn. What was the other thing he said?
Wow, that's a reference.
What was the other thing? He seems to be a basketball fan.
Okay.
He considers LeBron like LeBron Jordan in the whole conversation. He thinks LeBron is the greatest player of all time, but there's no denying what Michael Jordan did with the championships, blah, 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 blah. Point is, he loves LeBron. And when Crosby was telling him, or when they were talking about that little ass boy story, where he's talking about little ass boy, I guess like Crosby was at a Laker game and he was sitting courtside and LeBron was like 10 feet away. And I guess like LeBron peeked over, did a triple take, and then like noticed it was Crosby, and he said, I ain't no little ass boy. And then so Crosby was like, dude, it's LeBron. And then Minshew's like, no way. Wait. Does that mean LeBron knows who I am? And then he's like, probably, man. He goes, that's crazy. Like, just
not only that, LeBron will be like, "Oh, Gardner Minshew, watch his whole career, every snap."
Every snap, all the way that time from the team in Florida. Yeah, that team,
Yeah,
the Jaguars. Yeah, Jaguars.
yeah.
I just love. I'm a big fan of Gardner Minshew, the person, and
Oh,
I don't know. Just
he's
as a
gonna be.
sports fan, as a sports fan, if you're that likable, then I don't know. It's much easier to digest when you lose. When they were
Yeah,
losing with Jimmy Garoppolo, it was tough because it felt like Garoppolo had this whole other agenda where he's trying to prove to everyone he's a starter in the NFL. Whereas Minshew, he's got this mindset like, look, this is where I landed. I'm going to be a starter and I'm just going to play football and do what I love.
and that will go over well with fans when he's successful. When he's not, it's gonna be like this guy's too goofy. That's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, always.
But he's a good guy to root for. As far as TV, when it comes to the NFL this year, it's going to look a little different. Jason Kelsey, I thought he was going to go to Amazon Prime because he was tight with the crew there. Not the case. He's going to go to ESPN to be on Monday Night Countdown with Scott Van Pelt. And the rumor is they got Jason Kelsey and they may have to get rid of Robert Griffin. That's been a rumor out there. I don't know if that's actually confirmed, but I heard that may be something that goes down in order to get Jason Kelsey over there. What do you think about that move, Steven?
Yeah. I know we're going to talk about like these pre and post game shows, but I don't think that's the best avenue for Kelsey to be himself. Like, I think the podcast is great, telling stories.
He'll still do that.
Crap. Well, yeah, but like as far as pre and post game stuff, like I don't think that brings the best out of anybody. It's not just Jason Kelsey. So get that money, do what you got to do. But I don't know. I just looked at it as like, all right. Well, there's another guy added to the ESPN broadcast that I won't watch before the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be with my schedule and everything doing the show. I will not be able to watch most of him on pregame, but they'll probably use him on all the other shows, NFL Live and First Take, so he'll get the run. I just want him to be still authentic in himself, like the way he is on the podcast. I don't think he's a hot take guy. I think he's just going to be fun and goofy on television. By the way, Travis Kelce got paid the same day that this was announced. He's the highest paid tight end in football now at 34 years old. So he'll finish his career out with the Chiefs, and I wouldn't be surprised if George Kittle wants to be compensated, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon with the Niners. He might be on his last dance with them as well this season.
Feels like he's going to be a Titan, doesn't it?
Because he loves going to Nashville, watching Predator games?
Because he lives in Nashville.
He does live in Nashville, yep.
Rand Carthon's out there. It just feels like Kittle to the Titans. We talked about it last year, dude. Kittle to the Titans is like, it just feels instant.
Who's their current tight end right now?
I don't know.
Kawamura? There's a guy. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. This
is a great trivia question. Who's the Titans tight end?
I think it's something. His name is along those lines, Kawamura or something like that.
Yeah. It's gonna bother me.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Ernie 2 on here is like Delaney Walker. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Okonkwo.
Yes, that's him. Yeah, I could see George Kittle in Tennessee. That definitely could happen. The other news that broke was that Matt Ryan is going to be elevated from. He finally retired, Steven, even though he didn't play all of last season. They did that whole ridiculous thing. Matt Ryan will be a full-time TV guy now. He's going to be on the NFL Today on CBS. And they kicked to the curb Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms. And I saw a lot of people say, like, Matt Ryan's boring. He's never said anything entertaining when he played. Boomer Esiason has opinions. Phil Simms has an opinion. Look, I appreciate those guys and what they've done for a long time on TV, but I will say this. Boomer Esiason kind of just rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I know he played for the NFL and he's got a show on WFAN, but he's a little too opinionated for my liking. I was listening to my guy John Middlecoff the other day, and he was talking about how he thinks that Matt Ryan's going to suck on TV because he doesn't have opinions. He's not going to, talk shit about the quarterbacks. He's not going to throw them under the bus. He's not going to say the things that you have to be entertaining. And in my opinion, I don't listen to commentators with the expectation that they are going to just kill the quarterback or whoever when they're not playing well. I know that's why Drew Brees got fired because everybody said that he's boring on NBC. The reality is, Drew Brees didn't even get a chance. Social media already had their opinion on Drew Brees and he lost his job. So I don't want to have that opinion of Matt Ryan yet. I think people are going to have that opinion of Tom Brady until he does a game. But to me, I know this is going to sound crazy with my dad, being a play-by-play guy. I could watch a game and not really care that much about who's doing the play-by-play unless it's just god awful. If it's, if it's like not, I wouldn't say that's nothing he's god awful, but like if Steve Levy's doing the game on Monday Night Football, that's where I'm like, oh, this is hard to listen to. But if it's a good, solid broadcast, I kind of tune it out a little bit where I'm just focusing on the game itself. And I'd rather learn. Like Peyton Manning has made a fantastic TV career already because he doesn't do hot takes or call out guys when they're bad. He'll say they're bad, but he won't be rude about it. He breaks down the film and he breaks down the game, and that's what I like a little bit more than just being entertaining. I know you got to be entertaining for the mass audience, but to me, if Matt Ryan's really good on TV and he breaks it down and he's intellectual with it, then I would listen. But I know a lot of people don't like that style.
But you also got to look at the CBS format. It's very traditional.
Yep.
Very dull. They don't do anything outside the box. That's why I appreciate what Prime does. Sometimes try to appreciate what Fox does, but Fox with Terry Bradshaw is just unwatchable in my opinion.
But a lot of people say that that's entertaining because he's crazy. But in my opinion, it's like he's saying nonsense.
Right. And I think that I actually agree on the take that Matt Ryan's not going to be very good on TV.
I totally understand that.
I think he's perfect for what CBS wants.
Yes.
But me as a viewer, you know what? I'll say that not even Matt Ryan's going to be bad at what he does. Matt Ryan could be very good, but it's not like them just getting rid of Boomer and Phil and then adding Matt Ryan is going to sway me into watching CBS again. Like every single Sunday, I don't watch a pregame. I just don't. I like to chill before, the calm before the storm. Maybe make a little breakfast, a little brekkie. Maybe have it on as background noise, but I don't actually watch. Does anyone actually watch them anymore?
I don't. I get
They're like outdated, aren't they?
I just don't need a big build up every day, the whole pregame thing. I'm ready to watch Red Zone when it's on, and I watch the games. But as far as I think they're good hires in Jason Kelce and Matt Ryan, but I probably will not have a great opinion about them because I won't be watching.
Yeah. So Matt Ryan will be fine, but again, I don't have much on this change in NFL media because the pre and post game shows to me or what. And I appreciate, that RG3 tries to be different, but sometimes it comes off as a little too much.
Oh yeah.
Good God, did he after I mentioned the whole comparing draft picks to Dragon Ball Z thing? Did you see he built on that because he got a bunch of traction? So
he
made a whole video. It was highly edited. It's like, Jesus, dude. I don't watch it. I think I might have unfollowed him after that. I was like, I don't need it.
I don't blame you. But that's not for you and me. That's for the younger audience, and he's trying to be a TikTok star at the same time being a respected analyst on TV. So I get it. He's trying to dip into all different platforms. My whole thing with Matt Ryan is I completely understand that people think he's very milquetoast or, just as, Jim Carrey says in Liar Liar, Magoo. But I don't think he needs to be a critical analyst. And I think that, JJ Watt's not like that. I think that if you just give your opinion and break it down, I'll be interested. But I know that's not for everybody. I know everybody wants to have the hot takes and guys that, if someone's playing like shit, they wanted to say it during the broadcast. But once upon a time, broadcasters didn't do that during a game.
Yeah. You want to know it's messed up with Matt Ryan's retirement announcement? I know I'm kind of pivoting, but
no, go for it.
Did you see that video?
I didn't watch it because I thought the whole thing was ridiculous. We already knew he retired.
Yes. Well, he made a whole video thanking the Falcons fans and, went on to thank his coaches. Well, what's the gray-haired guy's name whose name's escaping me?
Mike Smith.
Yep. Mike Smith. He went on to thank Mike Smith. Didn't thank Kyle Shanahan. Ooh.
But he wasn't ever his head coach.
I know. He was his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to stir up some shit.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it's like maybe Matt Ryan didn't like
Did
the old Shanahan style.
Did he ever thank Steve Sarkisian?
No.
Okay.
No. He really he only thanked Dan Quinn and Mike Smith. That's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He didn't thank Arthur Smith, though.
No Arthur Smith. I think he thanked Arthur Blank.
Ooh. Well, there you go. He was a head coach for him.
Getting interesting, getting spicy.
Yeah, maybe. All right. That's all NFL stuff I got for today. Steven, you ever heard of a game being delayed because of bees?
Yeah.
Well, last night.
Before last night. Yeah. I don't
When
remember
it happened
which
before
one.
last night?
I don't remember, but there's definitely, or you know what? It wasn't a baseball game. Never mind. Scratch that. It wasn't a baseball game. There was a Wimbledon match last year that was delayed by bees.
Damn, like a hornet's nest? Like last night?
Yeah, they just all started buzzing, and the number one player in the world, Carlos Alcaraz, was like swinging at him with its racket. It was hilarious.
That's fantastic. So last night between the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, there was an hour and 15-minute delay because
Hour 55.
Oh, wow. So almost 2 hours. A bee's nest was forming on the safety net behind home plate. And if you listen to the audio, it's hilarious because the PA guy's like, we have a delay going on. There is something going on with the bee's nest on home plate. We hope that you would bear with us. Or no, sorry. He said, I'm screwing the whole thing up. He just said, as a pun, we hope that you would be patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well done.
The puns were aplenty last night if you scroll through the Diamondback social media account.
And I would tell the Diamondback organization, you're all cowards. Come on. Bees? Bees. That's where they stop the game? What about the broadcasters in the A's booth that have to deal with possums? Huh?
Do the broadcasters or do the media members have to deal with the possum?
Both.
Well, the possum's just a possum. Possum's just sitting there.
Part of the booth. But Michael K was pooping his pants.
I am so much more scared of a bee than I would be of a possum.
I would be on the possums. All vermin.
Yeah, but bees are bees, dude. They could sting you. It's scary.
I got to say this. I don't think I've ever been stung by a bee.
Really?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, your time's coming, my friend.
I know. As soon as I said that, I was like, that's going to happen one of these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, bees. I mean, yeah, it was a big old hornet's nest, so I understand why they wanted to get that done because, yeah, bees are nothing to fuck with.
My question is, how did they not notice it until like the game was about to start? Because there shouldn't be an hour and 55 delay for a hornet's nest when it's a night game. Did nobody see this colony forming in the protective netting? Or did they set up the protective netting and then all the bees just swarmed? I don't know how that happened. It was just such a bizarre incident to me.
Well, if you go back and look at it, it's hard to see from a wide view. So, yeah, maybe they didn't notice it until it was time to play ball. And they were like, what the hell's going on out there? You see those bees swarming?
No one looked up at the top corner of the protective netting.
I guess not. But the funny part was, so they were delayed almost 2 hours. And then they hired a bee specialist, a beekeeper, if you will, Jason Statham. Now, this guy, Mike Hilton, who's not going to turn the lights on for you, but he'll come and help you with bees. So this dude showed up and got rid of the bees. He did like the fire thing when he was, I guess, burning the bees away. And then he got like a huge ovation from the crowd. He was milking it, man. Took his beekeeper's hat off and was like, yeah, embrace me. And then he was like waving around to the crowd. He threw up the first pitch. Now I ask you, do you think they had someone planned originally to throw out the first pitch? And they were like, no, this guy's a fucking hero. Put him out there.
They probably had someone planned, but said, you know what, this game's going to be delayed a while. You don't have to. You can go home. Did you say that they lit the bees on fire?
Whatever. Yeah, there was something.
It was a vacuum, Derek. They just sucked it with a vacuum. There was no fire burning involved. It was a vacuum.
Oh, I would have done that with bees. I don't give a shit.
Using a Hoover.
I would have burned those bees down. But
set it on fire during Earth Day.
So you really think they had that conversation there where they're like, hey, listen, We know you were like the original person. Like say it was like a kid that won like a little league championship or something, and they're like, "Hey, listen, buddy, you'll be back here one day. But this guy is the hero of the moment. He saved us from all these bees. He's gonna throw out the first pitch."
It's true. I think they should. Yeah, you're a little okay. You're a little league hero. Well, this guy was a little league dad. He was just at a t-ball game. Give
Yeah.
him this one ceremonial first pitch. Plus, take some time and you'll get to practice even more. And all those nerves that you had, shake them off. Shake them off.
And I will admit that it was impressive. The guy was just called, on a whim to come out there and save him. Not on a whim, but in short notice. And then he pitched. Oh, the first pitch was okay. It was a little to the left or a little to the right. Not exactly a strike, but
Slow shrivel to the left.
Exactly. Another liar liar reference. But Mike Hilton delivered, and then he did interviews. This guy's a hero for saving the Diamondbacks and Dodgers from some bees. Bees.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how controversial it can be if you make a movie about bees, an animated movie about bees at that.
The Bee movie?
Yeah. Yeah, those damn woke leftist PC cultures trying to cancel you because you're making a movie about a bee.
Well, that was years ago. But I mean, you could offend the bee community. I remember The Wicker Man was very controversial. The bees,
not the bees.
That movie is fantastic. All right, let's get to Jackass of the Week.
Yes.
Before we do, let's have that conversation real quick, Steven. So you're talking about Jerry Seinfeld's comments.
Correct.
And he basically said that, I guess he was asked, why does he think there's not a lot of comedy these days, or why there's not a lot of sitcoms or whatever? And he said because he thinks, like, he did a whole thing about how back in the day you would know Cheers is on, or Seinfeld's on, or MASH is on. And now we don't have that, which basically to me is suggesting there's not good sitcoms. And I agree with that. And then he went to say, like, because the woke leftist, liberal side of things has ruined comedy. And I would say I agree and disagree with that, because I do think you could get away with a lot of stuff at comedy these days. But a lot of things are, more analyzed and judged, and, people don't want to offend each other. And I know a lot of people were saying, like, well, Larry David gets to do Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David gets to do Curb Your Enthusiasm because he's right now untouchable. Like, if he called up HBO tomorrow and said, I'm coming back for another season, they would say, okay, we're doing it, because that show does great numbers. And at this point, Larry could do whatever he wants. He could say whatever he wants on that show, and he just gets away with it because that's the way that show has always been. But there are a lot of shows today that can't get away with that stuff, because I think what he was saying was, like, when you go through a network now, there's a lot of things, like, jokes are, kind of like, ooh, you might be offending that person. I don't think it's fair to blame, the liberal media or whatever the fuck he said. But I do believe him. I do agree with him in the sense that comedy has changed, where you can't just say whatever you want anymore.
Yeah, but when did Seinfeld ever have that edge of? Was he ever that edgy?
And that's the part that I argue, is because Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm was the more edgy show. And it wasn't like trying to be like, we think this way. It's just basically like Larry's playing a asshole version of himself, and he's going to say these ridiculous things, but you're not supposed to think the same way as him. It's basically the All in the Family model. That's the way it was back in the 70s. Archie Bunker was this racist and terrible person, but you're supposed to laugh at him, not with him. And yeah, Seinfeld was never a political show or made a statement. It was just, it was just comedy. So I understand what he's trying to say, but also it's like coming from the wrong messenger.
Yes. It's coming from the most overrated stand-up comedian of all time.
Yes, I agree with that too.
like I don't know. Seinfeld's always kind of bothered me in that sense. He just has this super ego about him. It's like, especially after Curb Your Enthusiasm was made, it's like, who was the real brains behind the operation? It says based on the stand-up of Jerry Seinfeld. Okay, but what has Jerry Seinfeld done since Seinfeld came out? The B movie. That's what he's done. And now one about Pop-Tarts or whatever is coming up on Netflix.
I saw that and I'm like, ugh, that could be painful because I agree with you, Steven. I think Larry David is the brains behind Seinfeld, and Jerry wasn't a great actor to begin with. He's my least favorite part of the show when it's his name on the title. But I thought everything else was so perfect.
Right.
And yeah, his stand up was never edgy or anything like that. He never did voices or offensive things. So I don't know where this is coming from. And I agree with you. Like I never was a big fan of his comedy. It's just kind of like, oh, what's the deal with that? But there's more to it. Um, and he came like I remember an old HBO like 15 years ago did a panel where it was Louis C.K., Ricky Gervais, and Chris Rock and Jerry Seinfeld. And Jerry Seinfeld sounded so smug and entitled and just saying, I do the same. I've done the same act for the last 30 years. I do the same material. And they're like, you don't change your act. He's like, no, people want to hear the hits. It's like you're not doing a concert. You're not performing songs that everybody sings along with you. It's like, oh, sing along, like mouth along with me to my bit right now. It's like, no, you got to change your act. Things change. Yeah, to me, it was half of Jerry being like, where I was like, yeah, you might be onto something, and also like you kind of sound like an old man.
Yeah, he does. He does. It's fine. You can have the opinions, but the opinion sucks.
But no, like Ernie too says here, Seinfeld wasn't edgy, but you can't do a character like Babu these days. Yeah, I agree. Like things change, but like you can't Apu is not on The Simpsons anymore, from what I believe. But things change over time. I get that.
Yeah, that's not woke PC culture or the extreme leftists who have a problem with it. It's the people of, say, Indian descent who feel like they're
Yes.
being stereotyped on one of the most popular TV shows of all time. Like,
Yes.
it's like it's not just this woke PC. I hate the word woke so much.
I do
hate
too.
that word.
I
Like
think
more
I
than
think
any
people
word.
use it. I think people use it in the wrong way these days. But no, there's actually a great documentary made a few years ago about Apu and how to view
Yeah.
him. Like, was it? I forget the comedian who made it, but it was a great documentary about. He's equally Hank Azaria, great voice actor, but equal parts offensive, but also, a great character and not a lot of representation of that back in the day, but it was a white guy doing a stereotypical accent. So there's way like we evolve over time, things change, and we look back on it, and be like, that was funny, but back then, and now we got to move forward.
Yeah. Just get with the times, man.
All right, you want to do your first Jackass of the week?
Yeah, sure. I
Go
don't
for it.
even know if this constitutes as a jackass of the week. But mine is good old Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Oh, you
And
love him.
I do love Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Who doesn't love the Rock? But maybe this is me trying to just validate my point that this guy comes off as like the perfect human being. When in reality it's not, and maybe this stuff is fake, who knows? But there was a pretty scathing article written about him regarding this new movie, this new Christmas movie that he's about to star in with Ryan Reynolds. It's called Red Ones, I think. And apparently he was
Any relation to Red Notice, the bad Netflix movie he did with both those guys and Gail Gadot?
no relation to that, and
All
I
right.
did not bother watching that.
Yeah, that movie was awful.
But he apparently showed up late because he had his WWE obligations, but he was showing up to work late routinely, 7 to 8 hours late. And in
Ooh.
order to save some time, he would pee in water bottles on the set and then make some PA have to deal with it.
No
And
way.
this is just allegedly constantly 7 hours late working on his film, and it cost them around $50 million. And actually, as a whole, the movie was the movie cost a lot of money, so I guess they spent upwards of 250 million. But this is a long overdue report. Apparently, if you go back and go to the previous movies, there's stuff where this was already public knowledge, going back to that terrible DC film that he made called Black Adam.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty scathing article on the Rock. So even though he's awesome and I love him, I don't even want to call him the jackass of the week. He's my candy ass of the week at the
Wow.
Heartbreak Hotel.
Well, The Rock has responded to this. You want to hear the quote?
Yeah, sure.
In recent days, people have been questioning my work ethic and my commitment to this new movie coming up. And all I can say is to people that doubt me, off is where you can fuck.
Naturally, I wouldn't say any of this to his face, and if I saw him in person, I'd say, "You could do whatever you want. Just, you could show up late. I don't care. Be 7 8 hours late. You're The Rock. I don't care what you do, Dwayne." Anyway, that's my jackass of the week.
You know, it's funny because that is the complete opposite of what we heard with his beef with Vin Diesel, because they've always had a thing on the Fast and Furious movies. Apparently, he did not get along with Vin because Vin Diesel will treat his PAs like shit. So, but now it sounds like Vin Diesel's doing the same, or The Rock's doing the same thing by pissing in water bottles.
Supposedly, it was because he was showing up late to these Fast and Furious movies too. And look, The Rock was trying to cause dysfunction in the family. All right.
Oh no, you don't mess with family.
I like this one, AJ. Why is he cussing like Yoda? Off you can fuck.
That's great. Okay, my jackass of the week. So I got two. I got the guy that I want to do the most. Pause. And I got the honorable mention, because I feel like I've done this guy so many times. Pause again. Jesus, I feel like this guy's been a jackass of the week so many times. David Tepper. Have you seen this video, Steven? So basically, we could play it while I talk. So there is a local Charlotte restaurant where he walks by, and there's a sign on the door of the restaurant that says, "Let your GMs and coaches make the picks." And they're referring to the Panthers and David Tepper getting involved these last few seasons and firing Frank Reich and overruling everybody when it comes to CJ Stroud and him wanting to take Bryce Young. So he goes into this restaurant and sees this sign that says, let your GMs and coaches do the picks. He comes in, he starts talking shit to the manager or the guy that works at the front. He's like talking shit to him, and then he bops his hat off. And like, this guy threw a drink on a fan last season. I understand, like, he's the owner, he can do whatever he wants, no one can tell him otherwise. He makes a shit ton of money. But you think the NFL and all the owners are like, God, you're making us look ridiculous right now, man. You're a total jackass.
Putting the hat or taking the hat off was it's just disrespectful, man.
No, totally disrespectful.
You want to talk about a guy who doesn't have any accountability? Like, he looked like such a genius because of the little. Well, it was the in-season Hard Knocks before Hard Knocks. What was that show on Amazon?
All In.
All In. Yeah, when they had it with the Carolina Panthers, they're like, wow, this guy's really built up something. Now he's just coming away looking like he's been a jackass of the year, man. Why is it always these owners that just continue to do jackass thing after jackass thing? Speaking of which, a perennial jackass of the week, John Fisher. I like how he's privately financing or getting an investor to help private financing and getting even more help in trying to pay for this stadium, getting $500 million from an investor.
Yeah, it's a jackass move, but that's expected at this point from him.
Yeah,
David Tepper, like, what's crazy is the Panthers had to get rid of, it's kind of like a Donald Sterling situation. Jerry Richardson, their original owner, was accused of being racist and sexist and doing weird things behind closed doors. And they get this guy. I'm not saying that David Tepper David Tepper's worse than Jerry Richardson, because those things are terrible. But this guy has embarrassed the organization since he's become the owner. So, yeah, this guy is a common jackass of the week. However, I would rather discuss this guy because a lot of people are, a lot of Cowboys fans are upset that the Cowboys haven't made a lot of moves this offseason. They're not helping out Dak Prescott, and they're basically a lot of people think that they're setting him up to fail because they're not redoing his contract. It's you got to prove it this year between you and Mike McCarthy. Do what you can with the roster that we gave you and win this season. If you don't, then we're making massive changes. Well, it doesn't help when your owner does shit like this. Steven, you have the video of Jerry Jones?
Oh no, I do not.
I sent it to you in the DMs.
Hang on, I'm pulling it up.
Jerry Jones is in his 80s now, and he still is very involved in the draft war room for the Cowboys, even though his son Stephen Jones is kind of the go-to guy, the de facto GM. But yeah, they were talking about potential running backs. They just signed Ezekiel Elliott earlier this week, and God, I can't believe he's coming back. And good that he gets to, his last play for the Cowboys would have been playing center against the Niners in that playoff game, and now he gets to, redeem himself from that. But yeah, this is after the first day of the draft, and this is Jerry Jones talking about Jonathan Brooks, a Texas running back who's not even on the team yet.
In my 30 years, I thought it was the best interview that I've ever interviewed with a player. He's outstanding, and he's just outstanding. And he's a great football player. We got him high, and he's a good player.
Show him the board.
Well, I got it in here.
Good Lord! Look at all their faces when he's saying this.
Hang on, can we play this one more time?
Yeah, go for it.
30 years,
Mind you,
I thought it was.
What?
Sorry, mind you, Jonathan Brooks has not been drafted yet by the Cowboys.
In my 30 years, I thought it was the best interview that I've ever interviewed with a player. He's outstanding, and he's just outstanding. And he's a great football player. We got him high, and he's a good player.
Show him the board.
Well, I got it in here.
The guy to the left. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
The guy directly to his left, you could tell he immediately has a problem. Like he looks over to his right and then he starts scratching his head.
Yep.
He's outstanding. And
Just ain't good.
he's just outstanding.
Here we go. Here's another.
And he's a
What are you doing, Jerry?
great football player. We
Oh,
got
God.
him
Oh,
high,
God.
and he's a good player.
Show him the board.
Show him the board.
Even the media is laughing at him. Like that's ridiculous. And yes, that guy that was up there with him, he I don't know what he does. He may be the assistant GM. But after that press conference, he goes, I just want to make it clear. We have a lot of guys that we're interested in, not just Jonathan Brooks. I just want to state that for the record. And Jonathan Brooks didn't end up going to the Cowboys. He went to the Carolina Panthers with that other jackass, David Tepper. So Jerry Jones may have talked himself out of getting a player because he just talked him up way too much. And his son's like looking at him like, what are you doing? The best part was Mike McCarthy, though, the whole time just being like, is he serious right now? He's giving away our draft plans.
We drafted him. Ha.
Like, what are you doing? The guy's not even drafted yet. Shut up.
Oh boy, the NFL draft, the gift that keeps on giving. I like how I got to be honest. The way that the Falcons. Oh my God! Wait a second. Did the Stars do that, or did they win? Sorry, Stars Knights came to. Oh, it looked like the Knights scored to tie it. Stars win 3-2 and go up 3-2 in the series.
Gotcha.
The way that the Falcons have been talking after they drafted Penix with the 8th overall pick, they're so smug, dude. I can't stay. I'm tired of the Falcons now. I used to love the Falcons. I wanted them to win. I'm like, get this team back to where it belongs. It's good when the Falcons are good.
Now you're all in on Derek Carr and the Saints.
Now I'm all in on the Saints, baby. Yep. No, I'm not. But like the way that they're saying, well, we're good at quarterback now for 10 years. It's just so smug and arrogant. And I hope, I don't hope this for Penix because I want Penix to be good. But I think Penix is getting screwed over because he's a day one guy. And now instantly you're going to be You're going to have all it. It puts way too much pressure on Kirk Cousins because now you're paying him 4 years, $180 million, knowing that there's a quarterback right behind him who's just waiting. And then for Penix, he knows that everyone's waiting for him. But if he goes out and fails, then Falcons fans are going to boo him too. Then they're going to think that they're just out of it. And I think it's just unfair for both quarterbacks. And I think the Falcons are so smug in not even like addressing what they did wrong. It feels like they haven't. Maybe I've only seen clips.
They're not going to admit anything because they don't want to come away looking like they were idiots for making this pick. But yeah, I agree with you, Steven. Like they're making it seem like we're all stupid. And I know I said last podcast that I think it's a smart move, but it's, like I said, it's not the move that I would have done. And I'm just gonna wait because everyone's gonna say the right things. Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris and Michael Penix are all gonna say the right things. I'm just waiting for Kirk Cousins to talk, and I don't think he's gonna talk until training camp probably. So I'm waiting for him to show up, and then we all have to hear what he has to say about this whole situation. That's what I'm waiting for.
It's got to be a much different. Like, don't you dare burn a hole through that sweater at the campfire, Coop. Don't you do it. Dad's not the same anymore.
Yep.
He's angry.
He's pissed off and edgy, Kirk Cousins.
Yes. I like that.
Speaking of edgy, we'll go to pop culture catch up now.
Oh.
Fill me in, Steven. What has started this beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake? Because I listened to Euphoria, and it was well done. You know, rap beats these days don't take a lot. I've noticed that too. Like production's not the same, in my opinion. It was kind of a weird produced song. Regardless, I see everyone on Twitter's being like, "Oh, Kendrick body Drake," and I've never been a Drake guy, but I don't get the references. To me, hip hop was at its best in the 90s and 2000s, and I know I'm going to sound like an old man when it comes to that stuff, but like I think the best rap beef of all time was honestly between Jay-Z and Nas because it was all left on wax, as the kids say. And the best diss song, in my opinion, is "The Takeover" by Jay-Z because you get all the references, you get him talking about Nas, you get him talking about Mobb Deep, and it was just very well done. And there's even a line at the end where he's like, "You know who did what with you know who, and I'll keep that between me and you." And a lot of people think he's insinuating between him and Foxy Brown because him and Nas were trying to get with her in the 90s. Regardless, it was all done on wax. It was done on songs.
Yeah.
There's nothing violent or anything. That's why I hated the Tupac and Biggie one, because that "Hit 'Em Up" song is just I hate that song. It's so disrespectful. Tupac talking about his wife like that.
Here's the thing with it. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know where it all started. I don't. If anyone does, please feel free. We'd love to have you on Just Your Opinion, man. I don't know where this beef initially happened. I don't know who was the first to. I think maybe Kendrick was the first to come out with a song. Then Drake replied. J. Cole was in on it, but then J. Cole just immediately apologized. Said, "I love you guys. This is what I'm in it for." And it's probably a good thing that he stayed quiet on that because Kendrick just went nuclear. Here's the thing with old rap beef. They had beef with each other, but they were still too, like, whether it's Nas, Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, even, oh boy, James Pappas is weighing in.
I was just about to say,
Twitter.
man, it's been too long. James Pappas, what is up, man? Yes, No Vaseline is definitely one of the best diss tracks of all time.
For sure.
And yeah, James Pappas, big hip hop guy, so he'll chime in here.
But like, even Tupac, Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z, Ice Cube, and NWA, we could admit that in hip hop lore, those are among the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Any way you slice it. It seems like Drake has kind of taken some of the shine, I think, from the best in the game, like a Kendrick Lamar, like a J. Cole, even like a Pusha T. And it's funny when you look at the lyrics. Kendrick, it's pretty direct, but not as direct as Tupac and "Hit 'Em Up."
Yeah.
Or Ice Cube. Like it doesn't take much. You don't have to go, you don't have to be DJ Academics and go, lyric by lyric, line by line, trying to figure out what Kendrick's saying. You knew, you knew what Tupac meant. You knew what Ice Cube meant, and you knew why it happened.
Yeah.
It to me, I don't know where this beef stems from, other than they just really don't like the fact that Drake is considered the top rapper in the game by some, while these guys have been doing it for the culture, whereas Drake has been stealing from the culture, so to speak.
Mm.
And as we know, I just picked my nose for whatever reason, so disregard that. According
Didn't
to
even notice
Kendrick,
until you said it.
and Drake no longer allowed to say the N-word, so that's the rule.
Oh, okay.
That's the
yeah,
rule, according to Kendrick.
That was made abundantly clear on the song
Yes, it was.
Euphoria. Yeah, I don't keep up with the rap beef these days. When you think about it, it's two grown men just yelling at each other about who's better. And I know that's common in hip hop, but now that I'm an older man, I'm like, this just seems childish. By the way, if I respond to James Pappas on the stream here on the comments section, it doesn't show up. It only shows up in our YouTube section.
Yeah.
So now people in the chat are like, Derek, who are you talking to? Pappas, where are you these days, man? Austin still?
No,
Let
he's
us
out
know
here.
that-
He's here in the Bay.
He is?
Yeah,
Since when?
long time.
Well, shit, dude, hit us up.
I've had. Well,
Um,
he's hit me up. It's to be fair, it's many failed attempts on my part to meet either for lunch or for drinks. So that's on me.
Gotcha.
Sorry, James. Sorry, James. I understand. Yeah, at one point, Pappas just stopped hitting me up because he's like, "Yeah, this guy's a lost cause." I'm speaking to this. My invites here are falling on deaf ears, which they haven't, Pappas. They haven't.
Good Lord. Well, I didn't know that. James, hit me up, dude. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Anyway. No. Stay on X, whatever you want to
Stay
do,
on
James.
Twitter,
Pappas.
dude. Do what you got to
Yeah.
do.
All right. Yeah, that's me also too, Steven. I don't know what the whole beef is about, but yeah. Hopefully those crazy kids come together in the end.
But I do agree with you that the production was terrible on that
Yeah,
Kendrick song. Like, I
Songs
forgot.
start off one way and then they end up in the other way. Like I'm not a fan.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's like a Lamborghini in the parking lot of a trailer park, like next to a trailer home? That's how people compared it. They were like, you got Kendrick, who is an excellent lyricist, on top of this beat that sounds like it was made from GarageBand that day
Yeah.
of.
Basically.
Yep.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Anything else that you are watching or listening to, Steven, on for pop culture catch up besides Taskmasters?
Ooh. Well, no. As I said last night, saw that movie Challengers.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was decent. It was all
Yeah.
right. And I'm saying, I appreciate the original content now. I
Yeah.
appreciate the creativity, and actually, there's the music was by Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails fame,
Nice.
and he was going straight techno. There's this they did these scenes in slow-mo, and every time it would go to the slow-mo, then the song would play, and the song was
Yeah.
kind of got catchy after a while.
Sounding like Animal. Like he did the score. He did a lot of film scores. He did the I want to say he did the score for Social Network and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So he does a lot of David Fincher movies. But every score he does sounds like the 9 Inch Nails song Animal. It's like
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So other than that, no, I haven't seen anything. Oh, so I haven't found my AirPods, so I lost them. But a show I've been hearing about on Prime, I haven't lost them. I know where they are. I just haven't got them yet. I'll get them. They're around. I know where they are. The show on Prime, it's called Fallout. It's another video game remake. It's another video game remake, and I watched the first 15 minutes of it because I was writing Bart and I was watching it on Bart because I downloaded it to my phone and only watched the last 15 minutes or the first 15 minutes.
Okay.
First 15 minutes kind of had me hooked. And good God, if we ever go into a nuclear war, I am very nervous for the future generation in 300 years or so, because in 300 years, according to the show, if there is a nuclear war and the world gets ravaged by it, well, when the future happens in 300 years, then that's when families are going to start doing stuff.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like recreating the world.
Yeah, incest. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a good show.
First
From the-
15 minutes had
From
me
the first 15 minutes you saw.
it had me intrigued, and then I've seen the rest on it, and people are very, very high on the show. So
I know a lot of my buddies play the video game and they say it's really good. So I may check that out later. Still got to knock out the last season of Peaky Blinders. I'm on the last season.
oh,
But I want to talk about. So Jerry Seinfeld saying there's not a lot of comedy these days. Let me tell you, this show has made me laugh harder in the last few years than I can imagine. Conan O'Brien Must Go is damn near perfect. It is a unbelievable, just hilarious show. And if you ever watched Conan back in the day where he would travel from, different countries, it's just like that, only it's a full hour and he just fucks with people. And it's amazing and it's goofy. And he brings back old characters from back in the Conan days when he was on TV. But it's just well done. The only problem is it's only 4 episodes and he doesn't have the gigantic budget to do 8 episodes and go all around the country. But I hope they bring the show back for a second season. It is hilarious, and he says you don't learn about the people and their culture, but you do. It's funny, and he has an impact on all these people. They all do a hit on his podcast, and then he goes to meet them in person. I can't recommend it enough. It is perfect. It is hilarious, and it's just a feel good show.
I showed Jesse the Hot Ones episode last night.
What, Conan?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to watch that show. I don't know if she wants to, but she loved the episode though. She was squeamish at one point.
Yeah.
When he started, covering his nipples in hot sauce
or spitting out milk.
But she was also like, "Oh my god!" Like you just
No,
couldn't take her eyes off it.
No, I think you and Jesse would thoroughly enjoy the show. It's it's a good show to watch before to go into bed or something.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
think so.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
shouldn't have said the AirPods thing with her in the room. She's in the
No.
living. She's not happy with me because she got me those AirPods for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find them.
I've lost a lot of water bottles too. Yes, I know. Let's just go down the list of everything I've done wrong. All right.
But it sounds like you
Anyway.
need a trade. Then you'll get that TV you want in the living room.
This wall needs this wall space. It needs filling up, Derek. Yeah.
All right. On that note, that's all I got planned for today. Steven, anything else on your mind?
No.
It's okay to say no. Okay. All right. So there you go. That's the episode. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. To the Ernies, to AJ Cruz, to Tacky that was in here before. I think that's it. Then we got Danny Golding TV, Jesse who chimed in, and then our good buddy James Pappas. I know all the people in the chat are jealous because we're paying attention to James, but we haven't talked to him in years. James, what the hell, man? Hit us up. So we'll be back on Sunday. Steven, say what you always say.
Oh, it is just our opinion. Man, hey, the A's are on a hot streak.